Fallout New Vegas is, by the general New Vegas fandom, considered to be unique in many ways, from its faction system to its overarching narrative. But one way it is also unique is the ammo type system, that can be used to modify guns to being highly versatile tools or overly complicated filler, depending on who you ask. One of the interesting ammo types in the game is the ability to make shotgun shells out of enough precious metals to pay for your victim's medical and funeral costs, which obviously raises the question of, can you beat Fallout New Vegas with Only Coinshot? I woke up in a strange clinic where I was given my new name and a magic mirror to customize my facial characteristics. After that, I sauntered over to the claw machine, where I had to select my special stats. The charisma stat wouldn't help me at all, so I drained it to put points into intelligence to get more skill points when leveling up, and to also raise my repair stats since Coinshot can only be obtained through making them yourself. I raised agility to raise my gun skill, and I raised luck to raise all skills, as well as act as a minor failsafe. I took the seat for the job interview, and easily had my strengths listed out, with my weaknesses coming in at a close second. Tried to decide if I should do hardcore mode, but I figured the challenge would be hard enough without it. So I set out into the world, and the first thing I did was see what I needed for the Coinshot, and I immediately noticed that my repair skill was much higher than what I thought I would need, so I went to the edge of this section of reality to dial my points back down to free them up to put into barter to hopefully add to my failsafe. I continued on to Gene's skydiving and grabbed a star cap that was laying around, but I didn't feel like having Malcolm Holmes show up before I even had a gun yet, so I reloaded the save to go back to town to get some quick loot. This guy knew to turn his attention away, completed a crossword puzzle, then went outside to shoot some bottles, which do not count as they do not have feelings and therefore cannot be hurt. I traded some items at Chet's store, then set out to meet and greet with some jailhouse rockers and their violent doorbells before stealing some of their fireworks. On the way to Prim, I was accosted by some wild iguanas that I was forced to serpentine my way around the road barriers, and they fled in terror from my gymnastic skills. With the NCR in the area, I was able to fill in the first step of part of whatever plan I think I had in mind, that the Legion would take NCR dog tags in exchange for a reward, so I wanted to try to get a few of them along the way, and then come back later if I felt like it was worth it. I left to head to the Mojave Outpost, going wide around the swag shack to avoid cosplaying as Swiss cheese, and talk to Rangers Jackson and Ghost to get some XP and money, but also to set me on the path to an encounter with the Legion soldiers and a chance to get some gold. I went back to Chet's store to buy a suppressor for my rifle, and before you start to think too hard about where this is going, I will explain it to you. As I remember seeing from a video by a man with a mitten, dropping explosives onto the ground and shooting them would cause them to detonate but not attribute any kills to you, and as long as you were hidden, you would be safe from any retaliation. After going to Nipton, I put my plan into place, listened to what the Fox said to get some extra rep with the Legion, then got juked at the last second as they went to a different direction. I reloaded to save and placed them in the correct positions, lined up the shot and fired. And then nothing happened. Strange. None of them seemed to work, several of them flipped over like pancakes, the dynamite on the other hand did not like being disturbed. With this in mind, I went back and traveled to the Powder Ganger camp to get some more. Felt like 10 wasn't enough, so I wanted to go down the road to the next camp. Stole some more with a bit of difficulty, went down the road once more, the road went low poly, then trying to deal with these two was a clusterfuck in general, so I decided to make sure this trick would actually work. Of course he moves right when I'm about to fire. I repositioned, and my target caught the stick with his leg so I could take him out and claim his 2 dynamite with no worries. The second one went typically annoying, moved it over, then made him lightheaded and weakened the knees with my explosive personality, and was still at 0 kills officially. While in the area, I traveled to Sloan to see if they had any extra death sticks, but they did have some 12-gauge shells which would be helpful, and then broke them down for materials. Went and conducted a raid on the Good Springs schoolhouse to get the stealth boy from their vault, then traveled back to Nipton. Wasted the stealth boy trying to cluster bomb them at the steps, and then failed to kill anyone as they walked away. Instead, I remembered that I could pickpocket up to 10 or so dineros from a soldier, so everything with the dynamite was pointless. So please, dislike this video and comment if you felt like any of those dynamite kills were cheating. Not to mention the fact that I only got 50 total, so with it taking 8 to make a round, I can get only up to 6 shots, and on top of the fact I don't even have a shotgun yet, means that I'm in a very dill pickle. I wanted to go to the Legion raid camp to fish out a few extra nuggets from the special pockets of the LARPer League, but while following the tracks, I thought I could cut through the mountain, but I got jump scared and mauled to death by a blind deathclaw. I went in the other direction and stumbled onto another ganger camp, but for some reason they didn't appreciate my presence despite not even being on their reputation radar. They didn't even have loot laying around, so I opted to go somewhere else and made a stop at Hidden Valley, which I would need to go to later. Went back to Good Springs, made my first set of Coinshot, bought materials from Chet. Went to Sloan to get the Vegas via Deathclaw Valley, which was surprisingly less detrimental to my health than I expected. I escaped Black Mountain by pancaking a Nightkin that was in hot pursuit, though the remainders were unfazed, but I did get an NCR uniform in the process. I got tickled by some plasma junkies, and then ran into the loving arms of Uncle Sam's great-grandchildren, who escorted me out of the bad part of town. Spent some time looking for the Gunrunner store, found a lovely couple and asked for directions, in which they told me where to go, but of course the robot didn't currently sell a 12-gauge gun, but did sell some shells for me to break down, though I wasn't aware yet that the special shells, like beanbags and slug rounds, were a complete waste of money. After that, I went to Camp McCarran, snooped around in the requisition tent until Private Pyle smuggled in for a quick bite to eat and then left. Went to the monorail and into Vegas proper. Then once I had the Northgate Fast Traversable, I went to the 188 trading post where there were no shotguns for sale. Continued my adventure in trying to get a supply of coins by going to the raid camp. On my way there, I was greeted by a pair of ants that knew the secret eyebrow handshake, so we were cool. But we were not cool with the Viper gang members that took offense at my jumping and responded by crippling my leg and head, then continued to shoot at me as I ran away, until they cowered in fear of the dinosaur and his pet sniper. While running by the junkyard, I got attacked by an old cunt and her 7 bitches for no reason, who then stun-locked me to death. After taking the long way around, I made it to Novak, and Clifford didn't have anything good to buy. But now I was in range of the Legion raid camp, but another gang of snakes had it out for me. Luckily, my knight and football padding was more than enough of a match to take on the scum of the wasteland, and I returned the favor by stealing his lunch money. Another patrol came by, and I spent way too long trying to blow them up, which failed, as 1 boomstick was not enough. At the actual camp, I made sure to overcompensate by dropping 5 sticks, lining them up, and then sending this fucker over the moon. Still haven't killed anyone. The second one really wanted to taunt me, as if he thinks he knows but he doesn't. Instead of dealing with this tedium, I tried to do the ammo type glitch that lets you use any ammo in any gun to varying degrees of usefulness, but I forgot I need a gun that actually uses the ammo to make it work, so it was back to the Roman candles, and this one was a field goal. I freed the Powder Puff Girls, blew the chest in the camp as best I could since some of the soldiers had x-ray vision, told Ranger Ghost that Nipton was free real estate, and set out where I was confident that a sawn-off shotgun would be guaranteed, since this had already been a semi-pacifist playthrough so far. I went to Boulder Bear Workshop to speak to the leader of the convoy, and after leveling up twice, I laid eyes on my deadly prize. I wanted to see if I could steal it, but that wouldn't be an option, so Jessup had to die. I went to the man in the back and said to attack, but it didn't quite turn into a Boulder City Blitz. I probably could have just stolen something to draw aggro, but I didn't really think about it until afterwards, as usual. I reloaded to save. I did not level up, and then I led the charge myself until I ran and hid behind a car. The soldiers stepped up to the Call of Duty Wasteland Warfare, then slaughtered them all like animals. I grabbed the shotgun, and with 3 trigger pulls to my name, I went to test it out on the most convenient scarecrow in the area. Despite the somewhat armor-piercing nature of the bullets, they were not effective enough to kill the privateer, so I went back to the cannon walkers to break down some ammo and make 9 more rounds. I now realized that the game was rigged from the start, and without my failsafe in place, this was going to be a little less action and a lot more conversation, even if I do overdo it a bit. With my luck of 9, I could gamble away my lack of precious metal discs, getting enough chips to get kicked out from the Atomic Wrangler fairly fast, though cashing in my chips was also another staircase to infuriation. The conversion rate is 4 chips for 1 Dorito, 1 for an Aureus. So if you have more than 100, it converts those automatically, so this was not going to work. My bright idea happened to be that if I dropped all my coins into stacks of 96, then I could get 24 denarii at a time, which of course took a long-ass time, but it at least prevented any accidents, and brought me up to enough coins that with a little bit of waiting to buy shells freshly picked from the garden, that I could bring myself up to 200 rounds in total. If we factor in the conversion rate of caps to chips, which is 4 to 1, you have 8 denarii per shell, which is 32 caps going into a shell, on top of potentially having to spend 3 caps per shell for the materials. These things can cap out at being worth 35 caps per round going down range, just to give you an idea of how ridiculous this is. Now at 2,000 words and likely 7 minutes in, I can finally kill people for real, in-game that is, please don't dox me. I went to Chet's Farming and Mercantile to purchase a shovel to landscape the cemetery for some pickled pocket change, and a snow globe that was ripe for harvesting. Unsure of where to place myself, I went back to Prim so I could reach the edge of the road, mainly because I knew of some graves I could rob, where I also tamed some wild dogs with golden Scooby snacks and leveled up. Went back to the raid camp, and I think this guy was trying to figure out how the slaves escaped. Tried a few times to loot his coins, then set my eyes towards Cottonwood Cove. On the way there, I had to navigate around the irradiated shithole known as Searchlight. Not a big deal, even though one of its resident skinbags didn't take kindly to me being there. And I didn't take kindly to him posing at me in that tone of voice. Though once he was dead, I noticed something bad. I had killed him with normal rounds. Upon looking at the footage, when I reloaded the quick save to steal from the Legion soldier, it defaulted to the normal rounds. I went all the way back to the start of Camp Searchlight, loaded the proper ammunition, then continued on my journey. Was attacked by 2 glowing ones this time, but the arm penetration made them easier to kill. Same thing with 2 more closer to the lake. I hoped to see if turning in some NCR dog tags would give me payment to help me not have to gamble again, but he only gives me a disdained pat on the back, so this was pointless as well. To ensure I need not lust for bullets for an expeditious time frame, I went back to Ultralux, where I was completely flabbergasted by what the dealer said to me, then cleaned up the table before going to roulette, where I spent too much time. Sell for what I have, and rather than trade my chips in by hand again, I used console commands to give me the appropriate amount for what I had dropped. so I could use the rest for caps. Though what I gave myself was the wrong kind apparently, since these ones have weight, and I wasn't sure if I could actually craft shells with these ones. I gave the potted plant a tip for its hard work. After leaving, I was weighed down so I couldn't fast travel, gave myself the proper coins this time, and made a wish in the fountain. I met with Victor. Spoke to Mr. Krabs about retrieving his first nickel. Went to the tops to confront Benny, but had to divulge myself of weapons, which double barrel couldn't be smuggled and I didn't do the ammo glitch. But once again, I thought I had a plan. I convinced Benny to pay me, but I failed to get him to follow me up to the suite, so I would have to fight his goons. I picked the lock on the safe, and the plan I thought I had went up in imaginary smoke, as there was no shotgun inside the safe like I expected there to be. I ran around for a while, still nothing. On the intercom, Benny finally triggered the ambush that I ran past, though I was unable to retrieve my weapons from the lockers, so I just left the building. Benny went out for a Caesar salad, so I followed him to the fort via Cottonwood Express. Gotta say, don't really see the resemblance. House wants me to go down to the bunker to activate the Weeble Wobble Army, but before that I leveled up and bought the Shotgun Surgeon perk, which will make damage much more reliable. Inside the bunker was not very difficult. Protectrons being the primary defense left little desire to destroying them with minimal hits, and retrieving money from them was more tedium. I got a little hasty with checking the corners, flipped the switch. The dumbass thought I did what he wanted, then gave me the option of how to best deal with Benny. He didn't trust me enough to carry guns in his presence, so I couldn't kill him myself except with a machete or by crucifixion if I left the tent. So I just left the tent since it was out of my hands anyways. Mr. House showcased the new capabilities of his robots and told me to educate the boomers on modern technology. I leveled up again. I was thinking about killing House since I was getting annoyed with having to talk to Victor to travel through the building, but he actually stopped doing that. So I decided to kill House anyway since I thought it would be funny. I set out to search for H&H tools when I was attacked by some fiends. Overloaded myself with loot, sold it to the Flintlock Sprinters. Back on the trail with a bit more fighting on the west side of Vegas, which is where I thought it should be. After looking at the wiki, I realized it was, as I just went past it. Killed the robots, disabled the mines, saw a tripwire at the last second and did not get got, obtained the keycard. Before killing House, I bugged the lucky 38, and the lady was so thrilled that she ran past all the security to let me know how happy she was before I leveled up again. I got to the precipice of the danger zone and gave George a tip for his tip. Made it through the boomer bombs with only some minor scrapes. That's a typo. Agreed to help them with their problems as long as it lets me kill some things, though I couldn't kill this little shit, so I let him ramble while I let nostalgia take the wheel. I came back when he shut up and while I was in the first-person perspective. Thought I could assist with the wounded, but being a shotgun surgeon does not bestow me an actual medical license, so I went to help out the queen bitch of the bunch. She says she has ants in her pants and it's my job to clean them out, so I filled in the gap between her eyes, but nobody seemed thrilled about that. I did a few dozen more times before remembering the ammo switching to normal after reloading a save, then made a few deposits before going to work. I entered through the back and grabbed all the goodies laying around, even a few shells that I could scrap. Hit the generator to summon the army of arthropods, which came trickling out at never-before-seen slowness. Seriously, they took forever for it to actually show up so I could make use of my ammo supplies. But eventually, I cleared out Raquel's whole infestation, then needed to go to work recharging her batteries, in which case I needed to go to Helios 1. Since I was already committed to the creepy crawly carnage, I went to settle another pest control mission where I was interrupted by a devil in disguise, telling me I earned my UBI with some random goodies, but it only comes up to 300-something coins per week. Sold some stuff, bought a mod for a shotgun I don't have yet, then decided it was time to look behind the curtain, then sent Mr. House across the river Styx, then leveled up. Liberated Yes Man from Benny's basement, then moved him into House's computer. For the time being, I wanted to play my own game while I string along the NCR, and I tell Mr. Crocker that I'll see if the boomers are related to fairy godparents for him. I head to Helios 1. Lieutenant Haggerty sees right through my disguise that I feel should actually be legit, and then opens fire. Nobody else is really aggressive towards me, and using them as cover didn't prompt a mutiny like I had hoped, so I just gave her a less than honorable discharge, which still didn't bother anyone. I guess nobody liked her. Got lost on the inside of the facility, looped around at least once, found the exit, gathered up the trash bags that were laying around so I could build a makeshift wind catcher at the funny farm. Now that my chores were done, I was given permission to go play in the lake, where I managed to salvage an entire RC plane, but forgot to put on my bug spray, so I had to prevent my abominable mutant allergy from flaring up. Back at the airport, I used VATS to find the merchant. Considering who I'm dealing with, I should have figured they wouldn't have shotgun shells, so I just bought some Elmer's glue for my guns and gave them some spicy apples in return. Back in Vegas, I relayed my success in the first step of world domination, and was sent to converse with some hound dogs. Walked down an alleyway while dressed seductively, though the guys there weren't prepared for what surprise awaited them. Bought medical supplies. Talked to the king. Wants me to get rid of some competition. Something felt off when Otis wanted me to go around some thugs that were standing there menacingly. When I talked to one, they seemed harmless, so I gave them some change and they decided they wanted more. Otis started to attack me as well. A brave king died. Otis's gun is strong enough to almost kill me, but a few hunks of burning love weighed heavily on his mind. After my task failed successfully, I was sent to interrogate some victims and was sent by a doctor to a cabbage smuggling operation, but I couldn't guess the password. But what comes out at night blinks slowly and shines a light on what it sees. The moon. What does that have to do with stealing the key? Your guess is as good as mine. I went back to the king, talked to the NCR, peace ensued. Leveled up my gun skill to 100 and got the finesse perk. Talked to Crocker and finagled my way into a bonus, then leveled up again. Went around the Legion camp to steal their pocket change. Said I had Benny crucified, but I went back on it, went to Hoover Dam and got a job from the colonel. Obtained some stealth armor and repaired my shotgun. Of course, though, I was also finally able to buy a hunting shotgun. Worked my way to Red Rock through a Cazador trap where I wasted a lot of shots, but thankfully the dead bodies served as excellent bullet catchers. In the Carnivore house, I need to convince the Big Daddy Khan to not side with the Legion. To do this, I take Carl's diary and go back to the Legion fort to copy their 4chan post. Took out some more Vipers, which was fun. Had to convince the druggies that when their friend Anders was invited to hang out by Caesar, it wasn't what they had in mind. Gave the Khans a coloring book, and with that, they were neutralized. Went to 188 Trading Post to recruit Veronica, and went to Hidden Valley, but I had to dispatch some Scorpions. Once inside, I dismissed Veronica way too soon, and started to wonder if I should just go ahead and leave, but the door was locked, so I went back. I let the Paladin see me with her, and then dismissed her. Talked to the Elder, so I could get access to the armory, and the selection was less than impressive, so I left. The NCR Ranger that gave me the walkie-talkie was standing by the gate still, but his swiftness did not match the Securitrons with the rockets in their arms. Went to the Emeritus Casino and opened fire. Took out the receptionist just because, then set my sights on the Ultralights, and these mask-wearing fucks can sure take a lot of hits. Unlike at the Gamora, I had to kill the head honcho to be able to tell Yes Man to ignore this place. I found Mortimer and blasted his cannibal ass into the back rooms. Of course, I searched his meat to take his top hat for myself, then went to kill Marge. Was going to leave, but there's something about a target-rich environment and an excess supply of ammo that really tugs at the murder strings of my aortas. But seriously, I just couldn't leave them all here, even if the cleaning up was annoying, but I feel like I did good work despite it. Killed the blackjack dealer that mobbed me earlier, was going to kill the guy at the table, but he shared my sentiments. Informed the colonel that the Emeritus were still being worked over. Went to Yes Man to tell him about all the new friends I made today. Bad news is the president was coming to congratulate a man for getting shot, and I needed to stop that if I feel like. At the dam, I start the Arasaka parade, and after the bird lands, I notice someone wearing a uniform that's a bit too small for him, so I followed my instincts. Turns out that is not admissible in court, so I let him plant what might be a bomb inside the rotors, but my expertise lies in the conversion of currency to freedom seeds, which is a very volatile market with the whole war economy and whatnot. I left the plane alone and went to the sniper nest to see if he spotted any great deals, but there was a man that fell over and didn't activate his life alert. I told the guy up top to call it in, but he refused, so he paid the price. Thinking I had done a good job, I forgot that the guy in the engineer clothes was still a threat until he ran on stage to shank a random man. I looted his body for the failsafe detonator, but since it was the failsafe, I had assumed the real bomb would still go off, so I sat waiting for an explosion that never came for some reason. Weird. But the president is safe, so I'll take that. Level it up again. One last thing to do before I go to the El Dorado substation. I fast travel to Cottonwood Cove and start laying waste to all the Legion bastards in the area. Their guns are pretty tough, so they can hurt me pretty good, and the Aardvark of Phonics had armor that functioned like armor, but with Psycho and Med-X, can be put down alongside the feral puppies. After getting rushed and mag dumping from the corner, then taking out the chainsaw guy, the first step was complete. I loot the area, a slave freed herself, then I freed her family. I replenished my ammo and cleared up my inventory, then stormed the fort with no hesitation, as the guards were eviscerated. The ones on the steps never stood a chance, let alone stood for anything. Inside the camp was a bit trickier, though not by much, as the tents provide much cover and the guns of these ones were much less effective, while I was able to blow them away consistently. Inside of Caesar's tent, I was outgunned by the guards power fisting my anus. The next round I load up on chems, use healing items over time, and even read a book to boost my crit chances. Then the tide is turned very fast as I make the doorway my bitch, and rendered unto Caesar, to render Caesar, rended by Caesar. I set up my decorations, take the throne, retrieve my loot, kill Benny, then leave the tent. Though there were a few more guys to kill, tripped the guy who was doing push-ups, went to the bunker to kill the last guys. Back towards the gate, I shot Dale. A few guys resurrected, but that's okay because death is a gift and there's plenty to go around. Leveled up and picked toughness. Made a final stop at all the stores I could think of, though I forgot I originally bought 500 rounds over at Hoover Dam. For my last batch of bullets, I did the smart thing by sacrificing 8,000 life points to special summon 2,000 denarii from Todd Howard's ass. With over 300 rounds, it was time for me to go all in. I went to the substation, struck a pose, used Sneaky Child to press some buttons. The Ranger was back and made his escape into the sunset, talked to Yes Man, and started the second battle of Hoover Dam. The Centurions on the bridge were not too bad to deal with, and my toughness perk minimized the damage they could deal while the NCR distracted some of them. And after everything I had done, I had finally only become shunned with the Legion. Spraying into the next group was incredibly effective, though the last two actually had a degree of resilience to them as they took much less damage. Inside the offices, I was let in by the armored bears, and we took out the infiltrators before celebrating the first official meeting of the Shotgun Club. Pre-fire the corners, activate the generators, and enjoyed my entourage of unicycles as we made our way to the fort. Took off my disguise, tried to clear out as many mobs as I could, and then finally faced the Legates. The words were as short as my trigger pull, so he went off the ledge quickly. His guards weren't tough enough to handle it, but the Legate throwing grenades and my lack of stim packs put me in a pickle. Combine that with the snipers all over the place, and it's a recipe for a bad time. And though I could keep the Legate knocked down, he has been the most stubborn enemy so far to kill, and my ammo's not going to last much longer. He flees for a moment while reinforcements storm the area, and he's happy to keep throwing grenades while my chems blind me, but I do eventually manage to get him down to where I can finish him off. With one more enemy in front of me, I fire until I die, and then I have to do it all over. I switch to the hunting shotgun and load up on chems, making sure to keep the Legate stunned while I vats the guards to put them down, and doing the same to the Legate drains his health as he runs and more soldiers rush at me. The Legate slam dunks my throat with a grenade, which hurts, but is not enough to stop me from vatsing him again for a POV money shot like that scene from X-Men First Class. I take his helmet, make my break to the gate, where General Oliver greeted me. I told him to leave Nevada and got melted in record time, and I had to fight the Legate again. Killed him faster, destroyed the Praetorians, quick-saved, sprayed as I ran to cover, and with that, the Mojave was saved, and I beat Fallout New Vegas with Only Coinshot. Thank you so much for watching this video, I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like and let me know in the comments what you think. If you didn't like it, please leave a dislike, and also let me know in the comments section down below. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Harshin out.